Tonight on CBC Vancouver News. Pushing back against what BC's chief coroner calls harmful dialogue against safe supply of drugs.
Facts must take precedence over partisanship.
And the number of deaths still caused by fentanyl. Plus, new warnings after another drowning death.
Even if you're a really strong and competent pool swimmer, it might be different when you enter open water.
Concern the message is not getting out. And BC's largest wildfire growing out of control. And things are even worse in other parts of Canada. Why this fire season is unprecedented.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Anita Bathe. The province has passed an unfortunate milestone in its wildfire history. The Donnie Creek wildfire in northern BC is now the largest ever on record. You are looking at video shot by BC Wildfire Service showing the extent of the blaze that they say is now burning at more than 2,400 square kilometers, an area close to the size of Metro Vancouver. Those fighting the fire say they have to deploy unique techniques in their attempt to bring it under control.
Morgan Bogeen, I'm a fire behavior specialist trainee as well as an ignition specialist trainee. Prior to any ignition operation commencing, we have an ignition mission plan. So the ignition mission plan ensures that the burn will be successful. So we're looking at what resources will be required to hold the ignition lines, what resources will be required to light the fire, whether it be hand crews or aerial ignition, or in this case we used a heli-torch.
A heli-torch, basically what it is a 45-gallon drum of gelled gasoline that the pilot has suspended under the helicopter as he flies along. As we give him the command to, he pulls the trigger on the remote device, which shoots the jelly gasoline, which is ignited out the end of the nozzle and into the treetops. It's a very quick ignition as compared to some of our other devices we use. The heli-torch is very quick to ignite, especially in the black spruce, which is what we need to maintain control of our ignition operations.
The Donnie Creek fire is still being regarded as a wildfire of note, meaning it is highly visible or poses a potential threat to public safety. The distinction comes amid new federal data and a grim forecast for this wildfire season. New modeling shows an unprecedented number of fires for this early in the year. As Ashley Burke reports, there are concerns we could hit record numbers this summer.
Canadian officials say these are some of the most severe wildfires Canada's ever seen. And in the next few months, it could get even worse.
Well, this is not yet Canada's most severe fire season. If this trajectory continues, it very well could be.
The Prime Minister joining forces with 5 of his ministers to deliver what they called a sobering national update.
The current forecast for the next few months indicates the potential for continued higher than normal fire activity.
More than 2,000 wildfires have broken out across Canada since May, burning more than 3 million hectares of land. That's 10 times more than the average for the entire fire season that's only just begun.
We will be there to ensure that all Canadians are protected right through this summer.
There are now more than 400 active fires from coast to coast, and new projections suggest warm and dry conditions in June mean a higher risk from BC to Western Quebec that could last until the end of August.
It is expected that we have enough resources to cover the summer. If things get worse, we are developing contingency plans.
Those contingency plans could include more international support. Already 950 firefighters from other countries are helping, including from South Africa, Australia, and the U.S. The Canadian Armed Forces have been deployed to 3 provinces. It can take days to train them, which meant military enforcement arrived in Nova Scotia when the worst was over.
They're not specialists here, and they are backup, they are mop-up, and they are general firefighting duties. So they don't go into fight at the pointy end of the stick, as it were, anyway.
The official opposition said it would support anything the government does to help regions in need.
We would be open to studying any solutions that will help the country better coordinate its water bombers and other assets.
Officials say that since last month, more than 100,000 people have been impacted by evacuations in some way. and are urging Canadians to take extreme caution in forested areas this summer to avoid starting fires. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Yeah, pretty grim picture for a lot of the country, but let's bring it back here. Amy, what are we expecting this week?
This week, we're heading into a couple of very hot days, Tuesday and Wednesday, especially, as that's where we're going to see the peak heat. There will be a little bit of relief by the end of the week in terms of cooler temperatures, very slight chance of some light showers, but nothing in the way of significant cool down or precipitation. For tomorrow, as I said, we're heating up. So over on Vancouver Island, you're looking at mid to high 20s. And as you get out to the Fraser Valley, 30, 31 as you make your way past Hope. So certainly very warm there. Dease Lake, actually much cooler and dealing with some shower activity. Prince Rupert, a mix of sun and cloud to start, but then afternoon clearing. And we will continue to see those mid temperatures in Prince George and then through Williams Lake and the Okanagan. But by Wednesday, we really see those temperatures ramping back up. As I mentioned, it's end of the week that we will see a little bit of a break. But tomorrow, 24th, you're at the water. Bit of a breeze coming in, 30 inland, almost identical for Wednesday and cooler by a degree or two on Thursday. It is Friday and Saturday that we'll keep an eye on if there is any precipitation. But certainly this will be short-lived as we're projecting that we'll head back into the heat early next week.
All right, Amy, thank you.
You're welcome.
Turning to another story now, the province will be taking a look at changes to BC's Safe Supply program amid accusations from critics that the program's drugs are being diverted and sold on the streets. BC's coroner and the provincial health officer addressed the concerns today. And as Mira Baines reports, the review comes as more than 800 people have died of illicit drugs already this year.
BC government officials are pushing back against critics of harm reduction strategies aimed at preventing overdose deaths.
And facts must take precedence over partisanship.
Provincial Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry spoke directly about concerns over hydromorphone. It's prescribed to help prevent drug overdoses as a safe alternative, but critics say it's falling into the wrong hands.
We can't blame it on safer supply because that has been very limited. Very small percentage of the hydromorphone that's prescribed is under that program.
Henry admitted clinicians are raising concerns too about safe supply, and a review of the program is needed. In some cases, hydromorphone isn't strong enough to meet needs and is being traded or sold.
The program needs to be reviewed given the situation that we are in right now.
Last week, the federal Conservatives took aim at the federal government's harm reduction policies, but focused mainly on safe supply. They argued more funding for treatment and recovery programs is needed instead. BC's coroner Lisa Lapointe says that fentanyl, an illicit illegal drug, is leading to more overdose deaths, so an alternative is needed.
Fentanyl and fentanyl analogs have been implicated in the vast majority of deaths related to drugs in British Columbia.
Child and Youth Representative Jennifer Charlesworth also defended the program.
We aren't seeing any indication in our data and the stories we track that youth are using from diverted safe supply.
The coroner says about 6 people per day are dying across BC due to illicit drugs. Advocates for safe supply say the program may need to be expanded to include other drugs.
Or sometimes they start you on something that may not be as high potency as others, and just to see how you take to it. And if it doesn't work, then we need to have more substances involved to help people as well.
There's no clear timeline for when the province's review will be complete. Mira Baines, CBC News, Vancouver.
Life-saving experts are warning people to be careful around water, no matter how calm the waters might look. The warning comes after a young man drowned over the weekend, marking the province's 7th drowning of the year, according to the Life-Saving Society. As Zara Premji explains, a situation can turn tragic very quickly.
A quiet lake most commonly used for fishing or hiking around, but not for swimming, turned into the spot where a 26-year-old Burnaby man tragically lost his life this weekend.
It was here at Rice Lake that a few friends decided to come hang out over the weekend. But on Saturday, one of those friends drowned in this water. A bystander and a friend tried to jump in and save his life.
The victim actually went underneath the water, was under the water for up to 2 minutes, reports are. One friend went in to help him. Another bystander heroically jumped in, and between the two of them, they were able to get into a rock that stuck out of the water close by. They were able to start some compressions.
Soon after, emergency services and fire joined in the rescue efforts.
Where they went in was forested and, a bit of a sharp transition into the lake. So yeah, definitely an unusual spot to find people swimming, and not one of our more common spots for water rescues.
After an hour of trying to revive the young man, he was pronounced dead. Officials say he wasn't a particularly strong swimmer, but experts say
Even if you're a really strong and competent pool swimmer, it might be different when you enter open water.
And they have some warnings for anyone heading into the water this summer.
Can you see the bottom of the lake or the body of water that you're swimming in, or does it get a little bit darker, which may indicate a drop off? So doing a bit of a sight orientation wherever you're going to be around water is really important to just know your surroundings.
The Life Saving Society says it's heartbreaking when a day of fun turns to tragedy, and they're pleading with British Columbians and visitors to know the risks before heading out, because it could save a life, even yours. Zara Premji, CBC News, North Vancouver.
A one-day police operation at Guildford Mall in Surrey has led to the arrest of 26 people, ranging in age from teens to adults in their 40s.
Was arrested for stealing from 2 separate stores initially, and then he was released on an undertaking. Within an hour and a half, police yet again encountered this same person, and he was arrested from stealing from a 3rd location.
That man has been released from custody with conditions, including not to be in the city of Surrey unless for a court appearance. More than $5,000 in stolen merchandise was recovered, including food, cosmetics, electronics, and clothing. 15 charges have been recommended by police. Well, we're getting well into spring here in Vancouver. It's not quite summer yet, though it may feel like it. It may also mean spending the day at the beach, maybe strolling along the seawall, or possibly being dive bombed by angry crows. It's an annual, if not frightening, ritual as crow parents guard their babies. And as Liam Britton is finding out, these aerial avian attacks are an experience few people are raving about.
The faces say it all. It's crow attack season. All over the Lower Mainland, people are getting swooped, swiped, dive bombed. They're getting beaked up, and they're beaking off.
It was so intense. I was terrified. Yeah, they just dived down, got the back of my neck, and then his wings were flapping in my hair.
All over the city and beyond, the website Crow Tracks is recording dozens of attacks.
In the past couple of days, the crow attacks have been peaking. And they started about a month ago, but just in the past few days, it's really picked up. So those crows are busy out there.
All this corvid carnage might remind you of a horror film.
Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds in color.
But it's actually a story of passerine parenting. Turns out crows are the ultimate helicopter parents, vigilant, defensive, and commanding the sky.
I think right now they're very worried parents, because this nesting season is a very vulnerable time for them and their babies. While they're on the ground right now, learning how to fly, they're kind of hopping around. They're trying to warn people off and trying to prevent any type of danger to their little ones. So they'll often swoop down, they'll fly very close, they may even brush the back of your head, but they're really just trying to stay away.
They're even buzzing crow fans like Aaron.
I'm thinking about it from their perspective. As an anxious parent, they're repeatedly telling me to stay away from their babies, and I keep coming back.
And while lots of innocent passers-by are seen as threats, there are risks to these fledglings.
They're easily, picked up by cats. Dogs will grab them, give them a good shake. Sometimes they'll hop out into traffic and, get clipped by a car or even stepped on sometimes.
The Wildlife Rescue Association in Burnaby is hand-raising some of those unfortunates.
So they do spend quite a long time with us. Because crows are so intelligent, they learn a lot from their parents, which means that they're more difficult for a rehabilitator to care for. We have to be very careful about making sure that our faces and everything are covered when we go in so that they don't associate people with food.
So if you're in the crosshairs of these protective parents, the advice is to change your habits to stay away from nesting spots, or carry an umbrella, and have a bit of sympathy for these poor crows. Anyone raising little ones will tell you that parenting is murder. Liam Britton, CBC News, Vancouver.
A virtual vision for the future, but is it one that consumers want? More on Apple's new VR headset next. Thanks for watching our commercial-free live stream tonight. June marks Indigenous History Month, but for the Squamish Nation, this year is particularly special. It's set to celebrate 100 years since it was born from a historic merger. The 1923 amalgamation is revered as a watershed moment, and as David Ball reports, it's a source of pride that has inspired generations.
It's a huge day for Squamish Nation, which is our Squamish Nation community.
As National Indigenous History Month kicks off, Squamish Nation remembers the very day a century ago that their ancestors formally joined together. They call it Amalgamation Day. In July 1923, dozens of Squamish leaders stood at Indian Affairs in Vancouver, some holding thick briefcases, as they met with notorious department head Duncan Campbell Scott. Ottawa recognized their merger of 16 Squamish villages into one body, today's Squamish Nation.
You know, I grew up listening and hearing about the stories of the amalgamation from my late grandfather, and we have come such a long way in a short time, in 100 years.
10 years earlier, residents of the Squamish village in what is today's Kitsilano neighborhood were forced out, as their homes were burned down. Squamish Nation now has those lands back, where they're building a major housing project. They broke ground at an event with the Prime Minister last fall.
We've been beat up so much, there's a cliff. More families wouldn't have survived. But at the same time, this unity we talk of really embraced us and protected our culture, our traditions, our language. It protected our oral history.
The nation plans to mark Amalgamation Day with a month of public celebrations on the North Shore in July.
You know, it's really about coming together like we did for amalgamation and really signifying that, timeline to continue the hope forward to another 100 years. And I'm excited to bring my children.
Events planned include canoe races, live concerts, youth lacrosse games, and ceremonies, open to all of any generation. David Ball, CBC News, Vancouver.
It's long been rumored, but California tech giant Apple confirmed today that it is joining the virtual reality space, debuting its new VR headset, Apple Vision Pro. This is the first new product Apple has unveiled since 2014 and the company's first foray into what it calls augmented reality and spatial computing. The ski goggle-shaped design includes several interior and exterior cameras that allow the user to blend the digital and physical worlds. Apple CEO Tim Cook says the device can be controlled with hands, eyes, and voice, all for the price of $3,500 US.
With Vision Pro, you're no longer limited by a display. Your surroundings become an infinite canvas. Capture photos and videos and relive your most important memories in an entirely new way.
The Vision Pro will launch in the U.S. next year. It's not clear when it will be available for purchase here in Canada. We can still get that Canadian perspective on it, though, right now. For more, we turn to tech expert Gray Williams. Gray, virtual reality, the metaverse, had a brief splash in 2021, but it doesn't really feel like the technology has taken off. What's the reaction been like to this headset?
It's been mixed at best. A lot of folks have been expecting the Apple AR headset, and the folks who were expecting it are very excited about what they see. What folks are not excited about is the price tag. Taking a look at, yesterday, Meta announced their Meta Quest 3, I think, which was at $689 Canadian, roughly. So at $3,500, this one's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, huge difference there. I might get to the price in just a couple minutes with you, but first, for people like me who are the opposite of a tech nerd, I would say, I see the footage that we just aired, people sitting on their couch using the headset to Google things. Is that the point of these headsets, or is there more to it? What do you actually use it for?
So they're designed for a whole lot of different things, just general computing. Absolutely. Apple considers this to be a computing platform, and they call it their first spatial operating system. It can be used for things like entertainment and games. It can also be used for work, being able to have sort of telepresence, unlike anything else that we've done before. So, the average person, will they eventually have something like this? I think we will. Will the average person go out and buy this one? I don't think so.
Yeah, because it feels like they're still not really as functional as a laptop, let's say. So how long do you think it is before it becomes more normal for it to be a household item?
The curve on this one, I think, is going to be actually quite short. Knowing Apple and knowing what Facebook has got into as well as far as pricing goes, we're probably going to see this drop down below $1,000 within the first 3 years. So I think within the first 5, you're going to see these in a lot of homes.
Gray Williams, tech expert, thanks so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
It's a journey back in time. After the break, a story about an organ that's rarely played.
Rope!
I'm going to stay in the rest area.
I wanted them to have a challenge. So we went skiing and we went all around, but it wasn't challenging for them. So I decided, let's go climbing. And they said, whoa.
While he's climbing, I take care of this rope here, and I never let go with my left hand. I always have my left hand on this. I just slide it along. You're saving his life if he falls.
Ready to climb or climbing?
Always keep it tight above him, okay?
I've never done it before, and it's really good when you know that you're going to be secure if you fall. And it's a little bit scary when you look down, but it's fun when you go down and as you climb up. And it's a good experience to be able to climb up a mountain like that. Tight! Pull it tight! It's better if you have people there with you, because it's not less, you get really nervous and they help you through it, so.
All right, you're doing great there. See? You can trust your friends, can't you?
No.
They're not going to drop you.
The hardware we use, the gear we use, all of it's very, very specific to rock climbing.
Yeah.
How you doing here? Got another person coming up to the top. Oh, let's clean your rope up. Good stuff. All right. Yeah. Cruising along. Good stuff. That's high enough there.
Did you have a good time?
Well, at one point when I was up here, I thought that it was super dangerous, and I thought that I saw other people fall, but I didn't think it was going to work for me at all. I thought it was kind of dangerous, but it's safe as long as you have a rope tied up.
Yeah. Lay on, Pink.
Once you get over that bit of thinking about a vertical environment and just treat it like any other situation that you're in, it's quite safe.
Look at that.
Right. If you look up here, you think it's all fine and everything, looking at the rock. Right now, if I look down there, it looks like super scary, and I don't even want to go down, but...
Wave to your mom.
They didn't look so challenged.
Really? I think they are. They don't look like it, but they feel it, I guess.
They look pretty confident. I don't know.
Maybe they do. Well, we'll look for something else, maybe.
Parachuting or something like that.
Why not? They asked me this morning about that. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
The Talking Stick Festival 2023 Summer Reverb celebrates National Indigenous History Month from June 1st to July 2nd. A variety of performances will wow audiences in film, theater, dance, and music. For more info and tickets, visit talkingstickfest.ca. And CBC British Columbia launches The Herb Original, a new podcast for Indigenous History Month. All episodes are available now on CBC Listen.
Land Back is a CBC original podcast where we uncover land theft in Canada and look at how Indigenous people are taking it all back.
And that's what empowered nations and empowered people to just literally steal land.
This is a consequence of your actions.
And it's time to give land back.
Land Back is out now on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
Silent Movie Mondays are back at the Orpheum Theatre. Popular silent films are accompanied by dramatic music played live on the historic Wurlitzer organ. It's the last theatre organ in Canada still performing in its original home. We met up with the musician who plays it. Take a listen.
Monday night, we have our second installment of Silent Movie Mondays, which is a celebration of the history of Vancouver, the wonderful mighty Wurlitzer organ, which is home here in the Orpheum Theatre. It would have been a really exciting time. Patrons would have entered off the grand entrance on Granville Street and came into the theater. A lot of people back then would just really dress up for the night, and it would be a great night out on the town.
She's still holding together. The city revitalized it in time for its 90th 5 years ago, and it's where you get the phrase, all the bells and whistles, because it comes with bells and whistles.
What are we looking at? How many buttons and knobs and all kinds of things like that?
At Command Central, we've got 3 keyboards for the hand and 1 for the feet, and they're controlled with all these color-coded tabs here with names and numbers indicating how high it'll be. So if I hold down a key, a full variety of different colors that I can start mixing together just as an artist would as they're painting on a canvas.
And where did the idea for this event come from?
Back in 2017, we celebrated the 90th anniversary of the Orpheum. And we did a silent movie feature in sort of a vaudeville-themed event that was sold out. And the audience loved it. So we thought, we have to bring this back. We have to get people back in the Orpheum to celebrate the instrument, to celebrate that art form.
Wow. I'm no musician, but that is a beautiful instrument. All right, we end our show tonight with an underwater robot that could soon make aquatic searches faster and easier. A Swiss company says it's submersible. It's a drone that can do the risky work in turbulent water so divers don't have to.
So we focused really on the most challenging conditions. So here in Switzerland, for example, we have rivers, which are quite challenging to operate in as humans or as any other solution that's currently out on the market. So that's not really possible. So there are no solutions for high currents, if you want.
It looks like a mini submarine. Its small engine is loaded with cameras, acoustic sensors, and the ability to scan through murky water. It's battery operated and can last for hours. Pretty cool, all this technology today. Thanks for being with us on CBC Vancouver News. We'll see you tomorrow.